Alright, have you ever noticed how some people just vanish without warning? No drama, no explanations, they're just gone. When it comes to Sigma males, this disappearing act isn't random. It's calculated, deliberate, and usually permanent. Most people think ghosting comes from fear or immaturity, but with Sigma males, something deeper is at play. Psychologist Dr. James Miller notes, some personalities choose silence, not from avoidance, but from a clear understanding that words have become pointless. These men don't ghost for fun or to play games. They do it because they've learned something most people miss. Sometimes the cleanest way to deal with a toxic situation is to remove yourself from it completely. No arguments, no justifications, just silence. Think about a computer running too many programs. At some point, it needs a reset to work properly again. Sigma males view certain relationships the same way. When things become exhausting, when boundaries are repeatedly ignored, and when the same cycles keep playing out, they don't try to fix or explain. They simply exit. What makes their ghosting quite unsettling isn't the silence itself, it's the finality behind it. Because when a Sigma male ghosts, it's not a temporary timeout. It's a permanent deletion. Let's explore 8 reasons why these men sometimes choose to disappear, and why it's often the only logical solution for them. Number 1. Trust gets broken beyond repair. The smallest lies often cause the biggest breaks. One tiny deception leads to another and another until the whole foundation starts cracking. For Sigma males, these small betrayals add up faster than most realize. It might start with innocent white lies, small promises broken, little stories that don't quite match up. Each one leaves a mark, like tiny scratches on glass. One scratch might not matter much, but enough of them and the whole thing shatters. People often mistake a Sigma's calm observation for forgiveness. They think if he's not reacting, he must not notice. But in reality, he's watching everything, connecting dots others don't even see exist. Trust isn't just about big betrayals. It's in the small moments, saying you'll do something then forgetting, telling different versions of the same story, making excuses that pile up like old newspapers. These little breaks matter more than the big ones because they show patterns. When the trust finally breaks, it's usually over something small, the final scratch on already damaged glass. No dramatic showdown, no big confrontation, just a quiet realization that this connection can't be fixed anymore. And that's when costing becomes the only answer. Because once trust breaks completely, explanations just become more words that can't be trusted. After all, why would you write an ending to a story you already know is fiction? Number 2, your energy becomes draining. Have you ever noticed how some people leave you feeling tired after every interaction? Not physically tired, but mentally drained, like someone unplugged your battery. The science behind energy vampires is interesting. Our brains are wired to conserve mental energy, but certain personality types can bypass these natural defenses, leaving us emotionally depleted without realizing why. Conversations start simple, but always end up heavy. Good news turns into drama. Quick chats become hour-long therapy sessions. It's like being trapped in an emotional maze where the exit keeps moving. The drain starts small, barely noticeable at first, a bit more tired after talking. Extra recovery time needed between meetings. More relief when plans get canceled. By the time you spot the pattern, you're already running on empty. Sigma males handle this differently than most. They don't try fixing the dynamic or setting better boundaries. They've learned that some people are like emotional black holes. The more you give, the more they need. When this clarity hits, ghosting isn't about being cold or mean. It's not even about the other person anymore. It's about protecting your peace. Because sometimes walking away isn't just an option, it's the only way to recharge. After all, you can't pour from an empty cup, and some people never stop asking for refills. Number 3, respect lines get crossed. Do you know those boundaries you shouldn't have to explain? Like basic manners, keeping your word, or treating others with dignity. Most people get these unwritten rules, but some folks keep testing them, pushing a little further each time. A joke that cuts too deep, a commitment casually broken, privacy invaded in small ways. Each time it happens, they watch for reactions. If you don't push back hard enough, they push further next time. Sigma males handle disrespect differently. They don't make scenes or demand apologies. Instead, they quietly note each crossed line, each ignored boundary, each small disrespect that people think went unnoticed. It's like keeping a mental ledger. The first few marks might get a pass. Everyone makes mistakes, but at some point, the balance tips. The pattern becomes clear. This isn't about accidents anymore. It's about someone who fundamentally doesn't respect boundaries. That's usually when the ghosting happens. No warnings, no final chances, no dramatic exits. Just a calm understanding that someone who keeps crossing lines won't suddenly start respecting them. Because here's what most people miss about respect. If you have to demand it, you'll never really have it. And once a Sigma male sees the truth about someone, staying around just invites more disrespect. Sometimes the only way to protect your boundaries is to become one. Number 4. The games get old. The same old tricks keep showing up in new costumes. Little power plays disguised as casual requests. Guilt trips wrapped in sweet talk. Emotional blackmail dressed up as concern. These social games might work on others, but Sigma males develop a kind of radar for manipulation. Each attempt gets easier to spot than the last. The fake emergency calls when they're busy. The strategic sharing of information to create reactions. The carefully timed drama when things are going too smoothly. It's like watching reruns of a show where you already know every plot twist. The subtle hints about other people's interest. The mysterious problems that only they can solve. The convenient crises that always need immediate attention. They might handle each situation calmly at first, but soon enough, the truth comes out. Every move is calculated, every crisis manufactured, every reaction engineered for effect. That's usually when something shifts, not from anger or frustration, but from a simple realization. Why keep playing a game you've outgrown? The same tactics that once seemed clever now look obvious and tired. So they choose the ultimate move, complete withdrawal. Like smoke disappearing into air, they fade from the game entirely, leaving others to play alone with their own tricks. The Sigma male knows that games only work when you agree to play. And once he's done, there's no reason to stick around for the same old show. Number 5. Words stop matching actions. Remember playing Spot the Difference in picture games? Sigma males do this between what people say and what they actually do. And once they start noticing the gaps, they can't unsee them. Simple plans fall through repeatedly. Commitments dissolve into thin air. Promises become hollow echoes. Each mismatch adds up, like watching a movie where the audio doesn't sync with the video. The gap between words and actions grows wider over time. People claim values they don't live by. They preach standards they don't follow. Their grand statements clash with their small daily choices. It's like watching someone paint a picture that doesn't match the frame they describe. For a Sigma, this misalignment becomes impossible to ignore. Like a song playing out of tune, once you hear it, you can't focus on anything else. Each new declaration just highlights how far reality strays from the spoken word. That's when ghosting becomes the natural response. Because why keep listening to explanations when actions are screaming the truth? Sometimes, silence is the only honest reply to endless empty words. After all, actions will always tell the real story. Number 6. Clean break becomes necessary. Sometimes cutting a rope halfway leaves you both tangled. That's why Sigma males know when to make a complete cut. No loose ends, no maybes, no what-ifs hanging in the air. These men see what most people miss. Trying to slowly fade away usually creates more problems than it solves. While others tiptoe around endings, hoping things will somehow fix themselves, a Sigma spots when it's time for a clean break. They get something most don't. Half-broken connections hurt more than complete endings. Like a band-aid that needs ripping off, dragging it out just makes everything worse. By staying objective, they recognize when it's time to make a hard call. Most people freeze here, stuck between guilt and hope. But Sigma males can read situations clearly enough to know when quick surgery beats slow bleeding. They don't enjoy making these cuts. They just understand when they're needed. That's when ghosting becomes kind rather than cruel. A complete exit, while it might seem harsh at first, stops the endless cycle of mixed signals and false hopes. These men have figured out that sometimes the kindest thing you can do is make a clean cut because they've learned what others avoid. Some breaks need to be complete to let both people heal and move forward. Number 7. It's not worth it anymore. Simple math often reveals the hardest truths. The effort you put in versus what you get back. The time you spend versus the value it brings. Where most might ignore these imbalances, a Sigma male's analytical nature compels him to face them head-on. Their unique perspective on relationships sets them apart. While others chase connections at any cost, these men maintain a clear internal ledger. It's built into their DNA, this natural ability to value against investment. Not from coldness, but from knowing that real connections should uplift, not exhaust. A Sigma's independent spirit gives him unique clarity in these situations. His natural detachment from social pressure lets him see relationships objectively, without the fog of obligation or fear of judgment that keeps others stuck in dead-end connections. Take a moment and count how many times you adapt your schedule for someone who never does the same. How much energy do you spend on one-sided conversations? How many opportunities do you miss while waiting for them to match your effort? That's when ghosting becomes simple math for Sigma males, not out of spite or anger, but from a clear sense of what matters, because their self-reliant nature has taught them well. Your time and energy are limited resources. Spending them where they're not appreciated isn't just wasteful, it's stealing from your own future. Sometimes, letting go is just good business. Number 8. The connection dies naturally. Some endings happen as quietly as leaves changing color. Not with drama or pain, just a slow fade into something different. The ability to recognize natural endings sets Sigma males apart. Where others might desperately cling to fading connections, these men understand the rhythm of relationships. They feel the subtle shifts when conversations lose their depth, when shared silence becomes awkward instead of comfortable. One day, the spark in discussions dims. Topics that once led to hours of passionate debate now barely hold interest. Shared jokes lose their meaning. Inside references feel like echoes from another time. Their unique perspective helps them see these changes clearly. Unlike those who fight against time or try forcing dead connections back to life, Sigma males accept evolution as part of life's natural flow. It's built into their DNA, this ability to recognize when a chapter's truly over. The messages get shorter, the silences grow longer, plans become maybes, then fade into maybe next times, not from hurt or anger, but from the simple truth that people sometimes grow in different directions. That's when letting go becomes the most natural response. Like autumn leaves falling, some things are meant to end in their own time. Because these men understand something others miss. Some endings aren't failures, they're just completion. If you see the world differently, you're in the right place. Subscribe for more insights on the Sigma way of thinking, and hit the like button if this video gave you something to reflect on. Let me know your perspective in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.